All right, we are back. We go into the AFC South with our next two picks here. Ray, I'm going to toss this one to you with some honesty. It's really tough for me to get excited about any of these Colts pass catchers. You're talking Tyler Warren here. And I know I just said in the last segment, like, hey, you should be leaning into a room that, it seems crowded on paper, which it is annoyingly crowded in Indianapolis, especially because they drafted Tyler Warren, right? Where they already had too many guys they couldn't get the football to. Let's add one more in the first round here in freaking Tyler Warren. But again, I don't want to be a hypocrite because I did say that in the last segment. You got to lean into these situations, but that previous situation was with the Packers offense. That's always good. We got the Colts offense with Daniel Jones here. So you might have to sell this a little bit here, but I'm willing to be open.
Well, let's just start with the obvious. First is volume and opportunity, right? There was no tight end of consequence in this offense last year. Don't give me no Mo Alley-Cox, Kylan Granson, Will Mallory, none of that, right? He was picked a few spots after Colston Loveland. Some people thought that Tyler Warren could be the first tight end selected. He comes off pick 14. The most commonly selected paired up mock draft pairing. He wore number 44. Dallas Clark comps running wild. But I just want to say this. From the time, and I am not, let me be very clear. I am not in any way, shape, or form comparing this situation to that of Brock Bowers or the player to Brock Bowers. But a lot of people were hesitant on that. I remember on draft night, I'm off. I want no part, just flat out, I want no part of it. They don't have the quarterbacks to get him the ball. And you saw 150 targets later, Brock Bowers is a generational talent. I don't believe that Tyler Warren is that, but you also, as a tight end, and he played tight end in college, you don't go out in a P5 conference and catch 100 passes. You just, not in the Big Ten, you just don't do some of those things. So his ability to win is real, okay? His ability to get down the field and win is real, and we've seen that in small spurts throughout the preseason. This is a necessity pick. They need an easy button option for whomever's playing quarterback in this offense. I love Josh Downs. Go back to the time that Josh Downs spent at North Carolina. His problem is there's always just something, his inability to be on the field consistently. Yep. Pittman is fine. Pierce runs his allotment of routes. It is Tyler Warren's season over the middle of the field. They're using him down the field. And in those instances where you get some of that rushing work, which he's done throughout camp, like this is just a tight end that may not be in the best environment, but I also don't think Daniel Jones is going to be slinging the ball all over the field, going through progressions, 3, 4, 5 reads, coming back. It's going to be find your primary or get the ball out of bounds. This is an opportunity plus talent, skill set, match fit. I have not been worried about Tyler Warren at all. And with Daniel Jones as the starter, I think it's even better than Anthony Richardson.
Yeah, I as a Josh Downs bro and a Michael Pittman bro, I fear that you're right about this, that he will become like the primary read in a lot of these concepts to get the ball out of his hands. Get ready. That's great. Because that's probably true. Get 200 checkdowns for Tyler Warren as we're showing on the screen right now. Yeah, that is almost certainly what that's my fear with this offense. But at the same time, one of the points that you made there was the reason, and again, I didn't love that he ended up here just because I want those receivers to get maximized, whatever. Nobody cares about that. But the reason that they drafted Tyler Warren was they wanted a tight end to be on the field all of the time. Like they did not want that rotation anymore. And we've talked about this when you're looking for like a fantasy difference maker at tight end, you want the guys that are simple, going to be on the field and going to be top 2 on their team in targets. Warren could certainly do the latter. And for the former, only 4 tight ends ran a route on more than 80% of their team dropbacks last year. Brock Bowers, Trey McBride, Travis Kelce, Tucker Kraft. The Colts, their number 1 tight end was Kylan Granson, who ran a route on 42.9% of the dropbacks, 36th most at the tight end position last year. That's going to be a big change this year, and that's going to be a big boost to Tyler Warren, who I do think is you can take as a tight end 1 this year, Ray.
Yeah, and again, it's tough with rookie tight ends, but this is a different age, and Shane Steichen ain't there to play games. I drafted you in the first round. My seat is probably a little hot. I do not believe the Indianapolis Colts are going to play any games. They drafted him to catch passes, and that's what he's probably going to do to start off early.
My next pick here is Cam Ward, again, in the AFC South. Not because I think Cam Ward is going to become, a Jaden Daniels type guy that becomes your fantasy starting quarterback. But, man, when I look at the board right now, two of the best, in my opinion, boring veteran values might be Tony Pollard and Calvin Ridley. And both of those guys need Cam Ward to be good to hit. So that's why he kind of matters here. Like, again, am I telling you to draft Cam Ward? Not necessarily, because I don't know that he's going to put up a big fantasy line. Again, he's not going to lead all quarterbacks in scramble yards like Jaden Daniels did last year. That he is a guy that wants to win from the pocket. And because I think he can win from the pocket, that's why I'm really optimistic about what his situation could be in year one. This offensive line is, I think, upgraded to the point where it's not going to be like, it might be an average offensive line, which is good. Like, that's good enough for Cam Ward to have a nice rookie season. Dan Moore was a big expensive free agent, but he gives you credibility at left tackle. Skoronski's on the rise. Kevin Zeitler's a proven pro. J.C. Latham should be much better back at his natural position at right tackle. We still got Bill Callahan coaching this offensive line, which everybody was excited about last year. You should still be excited about. And I feel like there's some Titans offense and like, oh man, could Cam Ward have a bad rookie season based on what we saw in week 2 of the preseason? Because it just wasn't all that pretty. Calvin Ridley wasn't out there, guys. Like, Calvin Ridley is going to get 100. He might get like 150 targets this year. When I watched Van Jefferson drop that like beautifully placed in-breaking route that Calvin Ridley threw and just put it like, that's the type of throw I think Ward can make in his sleep. Layered over the middle, got the arm strength to rip it between zone coverage, perfectly placed. Van Jefferson just lets it go. Calvin Ridley's going to be on the other end of a lot of those targets this year. So I think Tony Pollard played better than credited last season behind an offensive line that wasn't very good. And Calvin Ridley played better than credited last year, had 1,000 yards in a bad offense and took a step back forward after a down year in Jacksonville as a separator. So again, these two boring veteran values that nobody's going to be fighting you in your fantasy league to take players from the Tennessee Titans. But I actually think these two guys are going to matter. Chig Okonkwo might be a sleeper at tight end. For all these things to happen, Cam Ward's got to have to be good in his year one debut, and I think he can be.
And to your point, the offensive line should be better this year. And Calvin Ridley in back-to-back seasons played 17 games. This is a fundamental situational upgrade. I talked about Calvin Ridley being in my recent Yahoo article. I talked about 4 receivers set to see significant change in their offense. Bringing Cam Ward in to play quarterback is a significant environmental change. And I like Lockett. These other guys are fine, but this offense is going to flow through Calvin Ridley. And I don't want to bury this Tennessee offense yet, because we did this a few years ago with the Houston Texans offense and CJ Stroud. It's not going to be any good. But you know what? We, at least in that season, whether we get this for the entirety of his career, but in CJ Stroud's rookie season, he showed that he was a truck, not a trailer. And he helped elevate other players in this offense. So if Cam Ward is the truck, not trailer that most people think he is, the reason why he got picked number 1 overall, I absolutely expect Calvin Ridley to produce on what you said, or back-to-back 2,000-yard seasons for Ridley. Yes, I think Cam Ward has a chance to develop that and get some of those spike weeks and be one of just a veteran backup presence that gives you some upside there at the quarterback spot.